Welcome to this demonstration of our rich internet application platform for RPG. Today I'm going to demonstrate the Visual Designer, and what I'm going to do is just create a simple order search application. So let's create the user interface first. So here we are creating a little panel. We'll add our labels. So for this application we're going to be prompting for a date range, and we'll also prompt for a few other fields like a customer and a product. So as far as building the user interface, I'm just throwing these things onto the canvas here just by dragging the widgets over. So here's my customer, and that will actually be a drop-down widget. And we'll go ahead and resize it. And then we'll get into how to populate the drop-down in just a little bit. And we'll also ask for product. So these are the 4 fields that we're going to be asking for. The product is going to be a text box, but to help the user out, we'll actually add an autocomplete feature to the text box. Let's go ahead and add some buttons. And we'll also add a little image from our logo here. So here we go. Next, now that we've built the user interface for this screen, next I really need to assign RPG fields to all of the elements, and that's very simple to do. So I'm going to go ahead and assign that. Date field, it's data type. Here's the formatting for it. There's another field. Customer, I'm going to do the same thing here. Customer here is a zone decimal field. Length is 7. Now this is a drop-down box, so also have to specify drop-down choices. And 2 ways to specify choices. You can specify a manual list of choices like you have here. But really that's not what I'm going for. I'm going for a database-driven selection. This will automatically populate the drop-down without any programming. And what I have to do is specify a database file and the fields that control the drop-down. So in this case, I'm going to use the customer name from my customer master file, and then the customer ID is the value that's actually going to be returned to the RPG program. Okay, so that one is complete. Now here we're going to do a similar thing with product. The only difference is this is not a drop-down, but this will have a database-driven autocomplete set of choices from our products file. And I can actually select multiple columns for an autocomplete. So I'm going to have 2 columns display the product ID and the product name. And now let's move on to the buttons. The buttons need a response indicator, and a quick note that a response indicator, it can be as simple as just a standard indicator like indicator 03, but in our environment you would typically use a named indicator because that's easier to follow. So you can actually call it search button, and that's what's going to be set on when the user clicks that button. And let's go ahead and create another variable called exit button. So that is our first screen. Let's give this screen a name. So the name that we're going to give it is search format. That's the record format name that we'll use in our RPG program. And let's create another screen that will actually display the results of the search.